So for the protruding dog bowl, I am doing 3D carving of dogs. I've got a Chihuahua here, a Pomeranian, a toy poodle, and a retriever. This one will get glued onto a piece of maple. These two pieces will ultimately be a 10-inch, 8-segment feature ring for the protruding dog's bowl. Here's one of the carved dogs, and it'll fit into the hole like that and get glued in after it's turned. So my next step is I'm going to cut the right side of each of these segments. So I have a mark on the right side of each one. I've had to redo a couple of them, but I'm laying the blade down so it's going to cut just on that side of the line. And that'll be my right side. The angle is 22.5 for an 8-segment ring. And over there. So I have this stop block set up. I put a little smaller clamp on so this clamp could lock over the clamp. I've got this piece of cutoff that I had from one of the boards that I'm using just to get a good secure lineup. And I have marked one piece with a line on the left side, and I'm going to use the stop block to set the length on everybody else. So I did a dry fit on this and used 2 clamps, one high and one low. It's such a tall ring. All the joints look perfect. The diameter's right. So it's ready to glue up. I'll take that in the house to finish it up. I have been doing some turning on the base for the protruding dog bowl, and this will be the feature ring. I have already flattened this ring, but now I need to flatten the feature ring. I'm going to try using the cold jaws and a sanding board to do it. Okay, so I'm going to check the fit before I glue it up. Yeah, it looks good all the way around. So I'll go ahead and glue it up, but I won't show it on the video. I have a newly sharpened bowl gouge, and I'm trying to round out this feature ring without getting tear out on these circles. As I'm closing in on it, getting this fully rounded, I'm working the bottom edge. I'll wait for the top edge until I get the next 2 rings on. But I have switched to a negative rake round nose scraper to try to get a nice smooth finish with minimal tear out, and it's working. So I pretty well finished the turning on the protruding dog bowl, and I did sand everything I could. I am now gluing in the dogs. Each one of them was mounted on a 1/4-inch disc that I cut on the CNC to pretty well be a perfect fit into the hole. I've got 3 dogs left to glue in. Each dog is different, and I'll show one of the glue ups. So I have all the dogs in. I've got 8 different dogs planted in, and I think I will start by turning. I got to make sure I don't shave the top of their heads, but trying to get in here and just get a little more material off, and then I'll go to carving. Okay, I have this video way zoomed in, and I've carved a number of the dogs. There's still a lot of sanding, maybe even a little more carving to be done. But I'll show the carving on this German Shepherd. So I have switched to sanding. I'm starting out with my 5-inch orbital sander. I've got an 80 grit pad on it, which is fairly aggressive, but I've got pretty good control with it, so I'm trying not to touch the dogs. Well, I've done a fair amount of sanding, mainly using the 80 grit sandpaper, and it's starting to look good. I'm going to switch to 120, and then the next step is going to be hand sanding. So I designed this opening to fit fairly good sized bowls, and this one fits that category. But under the table, I have a floating cable to move up and back, and it can tilt. The tilting is important because you want the section of the bowl that you're laser etching on to be close to parallel to this table surface. Now that it's mounted, I'm going to try to get the table tilted. The section of the bowl I'm going to be laser etching on is right in here, so it doesn't take an awful lot of tilt. So I plugged the laser in and moved it into play. So one of the things that's important is to use a laser that has a longer focal length. This one has about a 2.5 to 3-inch focal length. To focus the laser, I take a piece of wood with a known thickness, this one's 0.26, and place it on the bowl. Kind of in the middle of where I want to be, and then focus the laser at that point. As expected, the laser's already in focus because I had it focused and I set the depth to exactly where I was. So now I'll move it back down the 0.26 inches and it will be focused on the... So I am flipping this switch to turn the rotary on, and it comes up with a warning that the y-axis has to be in its current position in the 0, and all that is done, so I'm good. Okay, so now that I have the bowl in place and the laser focused, I'm gonna run the G-Center program without the laser on, just to watch where it goes and make sure it's close to where I want to start. So that is close, but I still want my 0 on my A-axis to be a little further this way. So I'll stop it and restart. I've watched it run without the laser on. It seems like I've got the height and the A-axis set pretty close to where I want it. The next step is I've got my laser turned down to 20%, and I'm going to try a burn and just see if it's showing up where I think it's going to show up. I decided to watch to the end to see where it ends up. Okay, after I watched it, I need to come just a little bit this way, maybe 1/4 of an inch, and up maybe 1/8 of an inch. It was hitting the wenge strip a little bit. Okay, I think it's go time. So you can see where it ends on that dog, maybe 1/4 inch away. And it went under the German Shepherd, and it started maybe 3/8 of an inch away from the other dog. So that's about as good as it gets. So I need to burn this 3 more times on this bowl. Since it's in 1/4 sections, I should be able to just figure out the arc, what a quarter of a turn is, and repeat. So I laser etch the rest of the bottom paw prints, the same method I showed you, and I just replicated the same process for the top. So it is all done at this point. So at this stage I have the protruding dog bowl complete. I just need to do a little bit of finish sanding, mainly in this section. And then I'll put on some friction polish, and tomorrow I can put on carnauba wax. So I am ready to apply friction polish. On the dogs, I'm going to use this buffing wheel. At any rate, I am almost done with the dogs. I'm going to put some carnauba wax on. I'm probably not going to bother hitting the dogs because that's too hard. But I'm going to rub this on, and I've got my carnauba wax wheel on here, and then I'll apply carnauba wax all over. But I'll start with the feature ring, and I'll video a little of that. Okay, I made it all the way around. We will apply a second coat on the feature ring, and then I'll apply the other wax. I won't show that all on the video, and then I just need to cut it off and sand the bottom. The next thing you will see is a completed vessel.